everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here. Welcome back to Painted Studio. I am, as always, the mistress of many messes. You can see I'm wearing a hat today. It was a rough morning. Didn't do the hair, slapped a hat on. So my face is going to be in shadow, but that doesn't matter because I'm not what's important here. What's important is what we're painting. I've worked hard today to work on some lighting arrangement issues. Hopefully I now have it so that you can see what we're working on a little better. So if you are a fan of Renee Holder and Two Chatty Chicks teaching eclectic creations, I've been doing a couple lives on her page. I suggest you go over and check her out. She's just wonderful. And unfortunately, Renee is not well today, so please, everybody, keep her in your prayers. Hey, Susan, nice to see you. And Minetta, nice to see you both here. As if you looked on our page, you will see that we have extended the deadline. Sorry, I'm putting cap on scissors so I don't stab myself. And I'm putting it on the wrong way. We've extended the deadline for the contest to tomorrow at 5 p.m. The simple fact is, it's election day here in the U.S. and it's a little bit hectic, and I know people have been stuck in long lines. I want to give everybody a chance who wants to be able to do this to participate and post a picture. So a quick reminder of the rules. To participate in our contest, you need to go back to a week ago today, last Tuesday's video called Cups and Contests. You need to read all the directions and post a picture of a fall or Halloween creation in that thread. Not here, not any other thread. There's no other thread. If you posted something on Fridays, let's see what you're creating. That's not part of it. I'm not going to go pluck your pictures out of there and put it in the contest. You need to be a part of that specific thread under that specific video. So please, again, go back to last Tuesday's video, Cups and Contest, read the explicit directions on how to join. It's not complicated. Tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, we're going to draw the top. My committee is going to have presented me with the top 4. We're going to choose the top 4. Sorry, I'm even babbling a little bit. Tomorrow afternoon at 5, the contest is over, ends. My committee and I will pull the top 4 entries, meaning we'll have selected the top 4 we like, and it probably won't be me involved in the picking at all. I'm going to have somebody else do it because that way my personal choice is not involved, and I think that's fairer to everybody. And then on Thursday at 5 o'clock, I'm going to reach into a cup or a basket. You see me do it before. I'll pull a name, and whoever is one that persons that I draw. I'm sorry, I'm tired, guys. I'm not speaking my words properly. Hey, Dana. At 5 o'clock on Thursday, I will have drawn one of the top 4 names, the ones that's selected by our committee, and that person will be the winner. And you will win 4 ounces of our Artsyville foil adhesive. You will win one of these gorgeous paper mache pumpkins. You'll win some base paint, and you'll win foils and glitter. So we're going to let you choose the foil and glitter, or you can let me do it, whatever you want. But at this point, right now, y'all got to enter. So back to last Tuesday's video, Cups and Contests, follow the directions and enter to win. Tomorrow, we will cut the contest off at 5 o'clock. Thursday at 5, we will draw from the top 4 selected by my committee. All right, everybody, let's get into the projects now that I've babbled for a while. So, I got loose at Michael's. I know I showed pictures, but I got loose at Michael's. Look at what they have. You can paint advent calendars. And then they had all these little cute words like Mary and Noel and cheer and Santa. So today we're just going to sort of prime stuff, and we're going to prime some stuff, and then I'll answer whatever questions you have about priming and prepping projects like this. I think I also got these from the dollar store. So let's flip down. I'm going to point what I had this idea. So I bought these from the dollar store for $1 a piece, and I have no idea had no idea what to do with them. They look very similar to the Swedish candle holders. So I'm like, oh look, those are cute. And then of course I got the Advent house. So how cute would this be on a mantle? Let me flip the camera up just a little bit. Advent tree, Advent trees, or little candle trees. So we're gonna work on those. We're just gonna start prepping them. Now I thought these were doors and I thought, oh God, they're gonna be so hard. Guess what, I was wrong. They're drawers. That makes this so much easier. Sorry, I dropped a drawer. This makes this so much easier because each one of these then I can hand paint the front of. I can paint this without worrying about jamming up my hinges. Maybe I get the last of the drawers out though. So I'm very excited about that. That made my day so much better. This prep painting is probably not going to be terribly interesting because, you know, prepping generally isn't. But meanwhile, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. Tony, yes, if you want to participate in the contest, go back to last Tuesday's live video, Cups and Contest, and all the information is right there for you. And that it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to enter. We are encouraging everybody to enter them. More people to enter, the better the contest is, the bigger the ability for more people to participate. It's so much more fun when there's more people. All right, I'm opening my jar because it sat here over the weekend. There we go. Now this is black set coat from Faux Effects. You'll notice my jar is unlabeled because once again, I pour off into smaller containers so I don't contaminate gallons. We do carry this in quarts. I just keep it in stock in the studio for me to work with in larger containers. I'm going to set that aside because there's a couple other things that I want to show you when I was prepping them, or prepping this one. So you can see I have this Santa clamped. You know, these are from the dollar store. They're not expensive, which means they may have some funky flaws. So there's a little piece of wood on the bottom of this that's very thin, and it wanted to delaminate. So I glued it together. Now I have to sand where I have a little glue bubble right there. So I need to take a little sandpaper. And this one actually had the same problem. If you look right there, and this is a very small one, it's a little split. It's actually sort of peeling apart. So I'm gonna take a little bit of wood glue, which I keep right here. And let's see if I can get some out. And I don't normally just squirt it directly into it. If it's a bigger piece, I have syringes that I use. But for small jobs like this, I use things like these little mini Q-tips from Muji, which you can order from online. Heck, I think even Amazon carries them. But you can see these are tiny Q-tips, not full size. And I like to take the glue and kind of work it into the split with the Q-tip. It works better that way for me. You can do it with a paintbrush. You can do it with any tool that'll get it into a small area. But the Q-tip allows me to kind of shove it in a little bit. Okay. And then I just take a clamp. Now, if you don't have clamps, use a book, use something weighted. Don't try to do it with a clothespin because they're not strong enough to get a good pinch. But you can buy clamps like this at Home Depot or on Amazon or something like that. But they're really nice to have because when you buy things that are inexpensively made, sometimes you need to take a moment to repair them. I think you all might have remembered, like last Saturday, I started to show you my little Mary, and I looked up and the end of the Y had broken off. So these are not like the strongest things. I just realized that there was a little bit of something. Yep. Like I said, these are inexpensive and they kind of want to break apart before you get a chance to make them. Not badly, you know, it's just they're 99-cent little things, and sometimes they take a little work. So I put the glue on the ones that need it, put them aside, and I'll work on the other things until the glue's dry. And the glue will be dry to work with, hour max. All right, that's out of my way. Clean the glue off. So let's grab our Santa, and I need a paintbrush. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna scroll up, see if I've got any questions, things I can answer. Yeah, Minetta, these are very fun. So you can use a sponge brush, you can use whatever you want. I personally am happier with a paintbrush. That's me. It doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong. It just means this is the tool I prefer to paint with. Sponge brushes, I don't like how they catch on things. I don't like how they're more likely to tear on a project than paint on it. But that's probably because it's the way I use them, and I own that. I don't mind taking a minute and dabbing all the stuff in. I'm happier with my result. If you are happier with the sponge brush, you don't have to do it the way I say to do it. It won't, in the long run, it's just your vehicle to get the paint onto the surface. All right. Now these things are made out of very inexpensive wood too, so likely, even though I have sanded these will probably pop a little grain after they dry. And if you're not familiar with what that means, when you dampen wood, and I go on the assumption that nobody knows what I'm talking about, which is often the case in my house. So I assume when I teach, nobody knows what I'm talking about either. When you dampen wood, it expands, and then it starts to dry up, and that means it's leaving a rough surface, and that's called popping the grain. If you deeply soak your wood, you've destroyed the integrity of it by, you've seen furniture that's gotten wet and all of a sudden it's like literally falling apart. That's what it means when it gets soaked all the way through. When you're just putting on a little surface moisture like this, you're basically doing what's called popping the grain, which means you're wetting the surface a little bit. The surface fibers of the wood are swelling, and then when they dry, they don't dry back nice, neat, tightly smooth. You have to sand them a little bit. All right, and this is not terribly exciting. I know that, guys. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with all of these. I just start out with a basic coat of paint. I either paint black, gray, or navy blue, knowing that I'll probably be doing foils over them. And the cool thing is that if that's not what I choose to do, I just paint over it, but I've already put a good quality base paint on there. So another layer and another color is not a big deal. I love these little cutouts. I am truly a Christmas junkie. And I just got notified today that all of our custom cutouts that we carry here, all the special the gingerbread men and the trucks and the gift tags and all those goodies that you have seen me painting for the last couple of weeks, those are all arriving I think tomorrow. As long as UPS doesn't get held up for any reason, we should have them in hand tomorrow, and I'll show you all the new ones. You've seen the others. Now I get to show you the new ones. I'm very excited. That's why I'm painting my dollar store and Michael's stuff today, because we're gonna have stuff that I carry that you can get directly from me tomorrow. I'm so excited. I have no idea why I started with the T there. I just did. It's like where my brush landed. Maybe I had a blob of paint. Sometimes I paint without, when you paint a lot, sometimes you sort of paint unconsciously, meaning that you've prepped everything, you set it up, you know what you're doing, and you're just sort of going on auto mode, and my mind will wander, and all of a sudden I'll look down, I'm like, well, it looks good, but I don't know how I got there. Because I have no memory of doing all, this is me, well, I don't have a lot of memory anyway, so. So while I'm painting this way to get the paint on, I still have to come back and go in the other direction because that's the direction the wood grain goes, and it will look better. I promise you, it looks much better no matter what you do if you paint in the direction of the grain. I hope you all are having a peaceful and tranquil election day. I'm not asking politics. We're not discussing politics. That's not what this is about. But I will, in general, encourage everyone to vote. Vote your conscience, vote your heart, vote what you think is right. But vote. For those of you who are American, we have people from the UK on here, and we have people from all around the world, Australia, a few other places we regularly see here. So this is for those who are voting today. All right, come on, let's get all this painted. Now, see, it looks great that way. It looks great that way. It looks terrible that way because I haven't gotten my edges. Now this is, this is, if I had like a little tiny sponge brush, this might be the place where I'd use it, because painting along the end of a piece of wood, the cut edge, oh God, that's a pain. Everything drags a little. Plus I hate painting these little thin edges like this. I always get a glob going somewhere that I didn't want it. Get in there. Yes, and I do, when you come into these round spaces, I sort of scrub the paint in. Because honestly, that's usually what I found to be the best. You're fighting a grain here, so especially on the inside of these. And always come back and check the other side, because when you paint these centers, you can have globs that build up, of paint that build up along the edges. So go back and check your other side. This is a three-dimensional piece, so you don't want one side looking great and the other looking like crap. You need to pay attention to all your edges. And I can already see the grain popping on this a little bit as we go, so it's doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. I think on my Advent tree house, we're going to do some glass beads mixed with glitter. We're going to do some fun icing techniques. I got all kinds of stuff up my sleeve. We're going to get a good week of holiday decor happening. Again, these came from Michaels, and so did the Advent tree. And no, everybody's going to ask. If you don't have a Michaels near you, you might be able to order it online. If you cannot, for any reason, order it online, reach out to me. I'll see if I can bring them in here. And I've offered that before, but usually I only have like one taker, because most of you have a Michaels and stuff somewhere nearby. But truly, the Advent tree might be the harder of the things to find. Okay, let me get there. Go under everything, go turn things sideways, check all of your angles, because that's where you're gonna make sure your look is good and looks complete. I have bought so many things where it looked great, and then all of a sudden you kind of looked at it and you're like, wow, they didn't really bother to do this, and they didn't finish that edge, and I don't know why I'm paying for that. It doesn't look that good. I don't like stuff like that, so I don't like to create things like that. Okay. You can see a And you can use a bigger brush. You can use a couple of brushes to do this. I just didn't feel like switching brushes because quite frankly, this one is not great for doing a larger surface like I'm working on the long ones, but it worked great with the detail painting. You know, your tools can help you or they can slow you down. They don't necessarily make or break a project, but man, the wrong tool, I shouldn't say that right, say that way. The right tool doesn't mean your project is better just because of the tool. But I can tell you, working with the wrong tool can make it really hard to make a good project. That's all I gotta say. And I'm kind of not one who likes to make my own life harder because I do it without trying, so let's not make a conscious effort to do that. And see, I can flip things around and I'll see a whole different angle where I missed something. I missed this side of this A. I missed down here. And these are basic. I can't tell if, I think these are not laser cut because the edges aren't burned and they're not clean like that. I just think they're like a die cut. Okay. Make sure I got everything covered. And I got to get the ends here. And this is pretty much what I'm going to be doing all day and most of this evening because I've got a lot of stuff to prep up. And I'm one of those people that I will get a whole bunch of this stuff and prep it all at once because then I like having everything ready to go once my ideas form. I'm not one who loves to sit and let's wait for one little thing to dry while I go and do another thing. I'd rather have a whole bunch of things ready so that I can sort of crank them out. And then that comes from me having done so many things, literally production style, for work for so many years. That's not how everybody has to paint. But if you are doing this for a business, yeah, you want to be doing a lot of production style work. It's what makes it possible to make things affordable. Think of assembly lines, that sort of thing. So I know some people like, if they're working on a piece of furniture is one thing, but if you're doing a bunch of these little things like this, if I prep this and then set it aside and then came back and then put the foil adhesive on and then came back, put the foil on it, and then moved on to my next one, it would take me forever to get anything done. This way, I'm getting all my base layers done, and they're all ready for me when I decide what I need to do. And like I said, if I've decided that I'm not crazy about how this comes out one way or the other, yes, I know I'm setting this down on the painted side, but there's a sticker on the bottom, and I want to see if I can peel it off. I thought I got the stickers off of everything, but I missed this one. I hate stickers on stuff I'm painting because they either don't peel off completely or I forget about it and suddenly realize I've painted over them by mistake. I told you I do zone out from time to time when I paint, which is like in another planet, on another planet, and I just keep painting. And the reason I'm sort of swiping at the inside is there were some globs of paint drying there. I still have to do the inside correctly. I'll get to that. We'll get the outside first. For those who don't know, I know a lot of people here hear me talking about Set Coat, but I will explain it a little further. It's not just your standard black paint. This product is a paint priming product designed by Faux Effects International Incorporated. It's a company I have been a certified instructor for over 10 years now. I carry their products, and I carry them and teach for them because I believe in them. One of the things I love about Set Coat is that while it's 100% acrylic, it levels like oil paint, which was the big design idea behind it. One of the things that, you know, if you got a water-based paint, most of the time you see a lot of brush strokes in it. Well, and then it dries with a slightly coarse surface because that's the structure of acrylic. Even though it doesn't look it on the surface, you might notice it if you put something over it and it would grab unevenly. But Set Coat was designed specifically so that it could be used with glaze and other plaster products and things like that, and have an oil-based smooth finish so that the product spread across the surface better and the moisture didn't suck into the paint and you lose your open time on stuff. So Set Coat has been my go-to paint, I want to say for 15 plus years. If you don't want to buy Set Coat or you're not interested in it, other quality paints I recommend are Bondago by Perfetto and Benjamin Moore Aura. It's 100% acrylic, purchased in the eggshell finish. I love both of those products. They're both excellent. You cannot go wrong with any one of those three. Sorry, I'm just painting, paying attention to what I'm doing. Now, of course, if I was smart, I would have painted the inside first, but, you know, I'm cute. It's a good thing I'm cute. Get a little more paint in my paint lid. Brush that off the edge there, so maybe this time the lid won't seal to the jar. Done on this one. So you all saw me brushing this on. So on this side, you might be able to see some of my brush strokes. On the other side, it's already soaked in and leveled out. You don't see any brush strokes. That's why I like Faux Effects Set Coat. Now, you can, of course, get brush strokes on stuff. You have to work a little harder, but I love the way Set Coat levels out for hand brushing. I might need a second coat on here, depends on how badly the grain blows, how much I end up needing to sand down and stuff once this is dry and the grain has popped a little bit. Some of these, they don't need it at all. It just depends on what the wood is, how it was cut. Honestly, I think it depends on the weather that day. Sometimes this stuff, I can't even tell you why it does or doesn't pop, when it would pop on one item and exactly the same item doesn't pop. I don't know. Yes, I should have painted the inside of this first. It would have kept my hands tidier. It would have been easier. Really, when did I ever do anything the easy way? That's when I get the tips, because I somehow managed to miss the tips of those trees. tree branches. Okay, make sure my finger's not taking any paint off. So that will be ready to go for our next project. I think the last thing I'm going to make you watch me paint is going to be the tree, the big Advent tree. So I'm going to paint the back first. I think what I'm going to do is paint the back and the sides first, let it dry, and then I'll come back and use a smaller brush and paint the front. All right, I smeared some paint on. Now I'm going in the direction of the grain. And I like to do what we call stretching the paint. It means I don't just blop a big blob of it on in the center, smear it around, and hope that's good enough. I take the paint and I stretch it as far as I can. Believe it or not, that actually helps reduce brush marks because you're putting your paint on super thin and feathering it out. But also because acrylic paints especially, there's better coverage than you think if you move it, if you stretch it out. There's no need to glob it on thick and wait for it to dry. Think about nail polish. Thin coats work better. So do that down here. Okay. The other thing is, pay attention to your brush strokes. Do not take your brush and blop it down and brush and smack like that, because those brush marks never make a pretty finish. Take your brush and stretch it all the way across. Brush it in. And if you've got to meet someplace like, all right, let me touch that spot first and I'll explain to you exactly what I'm saying. Okay, so if you've had to brush your paint out and you have to meet that spot, you don't just come in and brush to the middle like that. You swoop in and you brush all the way to the sides. If you're working on a longer surface, you're going to brush in and lift your brush out, because if you brush like that, you get that ugly mark. If you come in, lift it, swoop it, you don't have those marks. Now, I do this fast because I've been doing this a long time. So some of this stuff that I'm telling you is second nature to me, where it's not second nature to you. Let me flip the camera up just a little bit. So, sorry for my hand in front of the lens, so you can see me working a little better. Thank goodness I put these pieces in the direction of the grain. It makes it so much easier to paint than having to do it. If the grain was cut this way, God, just moving this paint along here would have been a pain. Got to get in up under the edge of the tree. Okay. And really jam your brush up in there. Seriously, don't play. Jam it up. Because even if you get paint on the inside, which I did right in here, once you set it this way and the drawers are in, you don't see that. But you will see it if you look at the outside and it looks bad. Pretty. This is going to dry so nicely. I can already see how it's starting to dry on the back, and it's really gonna take the paint nicely. Now this one was laser cut, and you can tell that by the burnt edges of the wood. Regular die cuts or saw cuts don't leave that burnt edge. Laser cutting does. So, which makes it, I actually like laser cut items, specifically because then the edges are already basically burned to a nice smooth seal on it. I don't have to worry about popping grain on it. Okay. Wipe my hands off a little bit. Not that I'm worried about sticking my hands in it, just I don't want to stick big gooey globby hands into the openings. And I don't worry that I might smear on the front. That'll be handled later. None of the paint will soak in. It will be nice and level. You won't even notice that I've got that mark there. Let's go from the top. I have no idea why I was painting from the bottom. Sometimes I just kind of, like I said, I go paint on automatic and then I wake up from my zony moment and say, what the hell am I doing? There's a more efficient way of doing that. And as you can see, I'm brushing across the back to make sure that I don't have any bleeds or blobby buildups from painting the sides that have gotten onto the back edge. I want to make sure all of that is a non-issue. All right, and as soon as I finish this one, I'll flip the camera up. I'll look and see if you all have any questions. And you know, you can ask questions that have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm working on. If there was something else that you'd seen on my page or something else you'd seen in another video that I still hadn't made clear to you, I accept the fact that sometimes I do not always make myself 100% clear. And because you're not right in front of me answering me, I don't know it. So I don't have any way of knowing whether you understand what I'm saying until you ask me something. All right, so we've painted the sides and the back. That's going to sit to the side because I can't now flip it on its back and paint the front. It would stick to the paper. All right, and put my camera up. Let me scroll back. All right, let's see. I appreciate all you being here. Michaela and Eva and Kay and Jenny, thank you. Oh, you're watching me while you're waiting to vote? Oh no, Susan, I'm sorry, Susan, I misread what you were saying. You're watching and waiting with us. Thank you, Susan. Non-political postings here. We're just encouraging you to go out and vote. That's all I'm saying. Choose who you will, but make sure you go and vote. Okay, why do artist brushes have such long handles? Are they for reaching up? Well, I'll tell you what, most of us fine artists, we're generally taught to reach back. So this balances this. So if you look at a brush like this, this is the widest spot, this is the grip spot. You're not supposed to grip your brush like this. So when you grip like this, this is for balance. If it was a good brush, I might be able to. Let's see if I can do this. It's full of paint, so it might not work. But good brushes, I've been able to balance on my finger because the balance would be that. See? And you can see it's balanced. I'm having to push it a little bit there, but that's why you have long handles. It's the balance and the weight. There you go. I didn't know if I could do that because, well, it's me usually not with the good balance. So, but if you don't like your handles long, and not everybody does, saw them off. Just take a scissor, cut them off. But I've never cut because the only time I don't like these is when I'm working in a tight space. And I have jabbed. I bought brushes just for certain jobs so I could cut the ends off, and I just beat them up until the end of the job and threw them away because I knew I'd never use them again as a regular brush. So, but the other part, to answer some case questions about this, is when you're working on a large mural, and this is not what you normally use, but there's a stick that they usually have a pad on the end of. So when you're working on a big mural on a wall, you can't brace your hand and get a good line. So you can put your hand on the stick, you can push your brush out just a little further and get much better control that way. You might have seen other muralists doing it. I never got really good at doing it because I'm a lazy person. I like having one hand free. I don't like having another, but I have done it. Okay. Yes, Susan, even on furniture, you have a few things going at once. I have 3 tables in the back. I haven't even finished. I have a dozen Christmas ornaments over here. I have a dozen more over here. I have the ones that this is when it's holiday season, production is in full force. I know most of us do that. Hey, Lisa, nice to see you, and Avery and Carolyn. Wow, there's so many of you who've popped in. Thank you so much. All right, so I've answered some questions. We've talked about the contest. One more reminder. My hat's flopping down funny. One more reminder. Go to last Tuesday's live, Cups and Contests, if you want to enter a contest where you will win one of our fabulous paper mache pumpkins, 4 ounces of Artsyville foil adhesive, several ounces of a base paint color, several foils, and some glitter. To enter the contest, you have to follow the directions on that post. So you need to go back to last Tuesday's Cups and Contest Live. It's posted on our page. It's not hard to find. Do not post it if you've seen it shared anywhere. Don't post on the shared post. Has to be posted in the original post. All right, everybody, have a wonderful election day. Keep yourself sane. Everybody have a cocktail. Go and spend some time with your families. And if you haven't, go vote.